It is the names that I hear. Always the names. When the monsoons begin, I hear the thunder. And in the living clouds, I hear the names. In a language no longer heard, no longer spoken, no longer thought. I search the desert sky. I seek wisdom in the stones. It is fleeting, but I find it, as elusive as a whisper, as vital as breath, as ephemeral as the clouds.
And there shall be signs in the sun, and in the moon, and in the stars, and upon the earth distress of nations with perplexity. For the powers of heaven shall be shaken, and then shall they see the Son of Man coming in a cloud with power and great glory. And when these things begin to come to pass, then look up and lift up your heads, for your redemption draweth nigh.
The Estancia Valley is a high desert basin, east of the Manzano Mountains and the Rio Grande. Mesas studded with piñón and juniper descend to the limitless expanse of the eastern plains. This quiet place was once the stage for a tragic human drama, a story as complex and stark, as striking and unforgiving as the desert itself. For untold centuries, the Estancia Valley was a crossroads of cultures. Trade routes converged, bringing together people from different environments, speaking many languages, with myriad belief systems and customs. The Apache nomads of the eastern plains followed the migrating herds of bison and harvested their hides and flesh. River basin farmers west of Abo Pass brought new artistic traditions and other cultural behaviors. The people who lived at this crossroads were dryland farmers with a profound awareness of the subtleties of their demanding environment. They survived the vagaries of desert agriculture by maintaining stores of corn for subsistence in the bad years and for trading in the good. Hides, corn, salt, slaves, blankets, pottery, and ideas were exchanged in trade and traveled on routes that stretched from Texas to the Pacific and into Mexico. The Pueblo people led a highly developed spiritual life. Their entire universe was animate. Night and day, stars and earth, wind, clouds, trees, corn, stones, all were alive and sentient. The cosmos was an infinite cycle, with each element, human and non-human, dependent on the others in an intricate dance of reciprocity. A near total subordination of the individual to the will of those other elements had an all-important goal: harmony in the natural world, upon which all life depended. Elaborate and sophisticated rituals were necessary to ensure this harmony, this balance in the universe. In dances, pounding feet kept time with the heartbeat of the Earth Mother. The headdresses touched the clouds in Father Sky, and the tension and energy between these two complementary, creative forces commingled in the dancer's body. This worldview embraced intuition, instinct, and ambiguity, a world in which many seemingly conflicting truths were possible. Death to the Pueblo was not an end to life, merely one indistinguishable point on an endless continuum. A moment when the breath and energies of an individual returned whence they came, to the primal essence of the universe, the very dust and matter of creation. In the late 1500s, the last of Spain's conquistadors entered the Estancia Valley. 60 years before, Coronado had terrorized the Pueblo communities further west, and the memory of the power of the Spaniards to devastate and destroy pueblos was still fresh, and re-emphasized by the war of blood and fire against Acoma Pueblo. The Salinas Pueblos also resisted, at first. In response to the attempted rebellion, the Spaniards laid siege to the Pueblo of Quaray. The vicious fighting raged through the streets, and the Pueblo was burned and leveled. This dramatic display of brute force had its desired effect. When the conquistadores realized that this Nuevo Mexico had little of the mineral riches of Mexico, and that the 7 cities of Cibola were only a dream, the colony was nearly abandoned in its infancy. But Franciscan missionaries argued that the real treasure was not precious metal, but something of more infinite value: the salvation of souls from the clutches of Satan. The Franciscans were holy men of the Spanish Empire, embracing the opportunity to risk their lives for the glory of God. From the Gospel of Matthew came the inspiration: "And as ye go, preach, saying, the kingdom of heaven is at hand. Heal the sick, cleanse the lepers, raise the dead, cast out devils." There were even some striking similarities between the Franciscan and Pueblo worldviews. St. Francis of Assisi had founded a brotherhood based on humility, on devotion to the welfare of others, on deeply felt spiritualism, and a love of the natural world.
Be thou praised, my Lord, with all thy creatures, above all, brother sun, who gives a day and brightens us therewith. Be thou praised, my Lord, of sister moon and the stars. In the heaven hast thou formed them, clear, precious, and comely. Be thou praised, my Lord, of brother wind and of the air, and the clouds, and of fair and all weather, by which thou givest to thy creatures sustenance. Be thou praised, my Lord, of sister water, which is much useful and humble and precious and pure. Be thou praised, my Lord, of our sister Mother Earth, which sustains and hath us in rule, and produces diverse fruits with colored flowers and herbs.
Our mother, the earth, our father, the sky, we for us a garment of brightness. May the warp be the white light of morning. May the weft be the red light of evening. May the fringes be the falling rain. May the border be the standing rainbow. Weave for us a garment of brightness, that we may walk fittingly where birds sing, that we may walk fittingly where grass is green.
Excited by this golden opportunity to create the perfect religious commune, the Franciscans threw all their considerable talents and dedication into the task. On the distant edge of the empire, the Franciscans accomplished startling feats of architecture, designing huge churches, which were built by the Indians of the Pueblos. Far from rude frontier churches, the missions of Salinas were elaborately decorated with precious objects and artwork shipped up the Camino Real from Mexico City. As an eminently practical people, accustomed to incorporating new concepts that proved to be of benefit, the Pueblo people might have welcomed iron tools, new crops, and a pantheon of religious figures which could be added to their already well-developed spiritual beliefs. But ultimately, the Franciscans had come not to accommodate, but to convert. Any kinship between Pueblo belief and Franciscan theology was confronted by the desolate truth that 17th century Christianity did not allow for being merely one belief among many. The Kachina dances were prohibited as devil worship, idolatry, witchcraft. Pueblo religious leaders were referred to as sorcerers and ministers of hell. The kivas were buried. Sacred objects were burned, and native practitioners were whipped.
The Indians all assist in a body in the building of the churches, with all goodwill, as can be seen by the many we have built, all spacious and neat. The first of their fruits they offer to the church in all reverence and goodwill. Lastly, they are all very happy and recognize the blindness of idolatry from which they have emerged, and the blessings they enjoy in being the children of the church. This they often admit.
I sing my flute song to the western clouds. Call the storm clouds that they come rushing. Call the tall walking rain. Call the life-giving rain. Why does it not come? Why does it not come? Why does it not come? I weep, I rend my garments, I grieve for my people. My flute sobs with the voice of all birds in the water. Even to the six directions I weep and despair. Come, O clouds from the sides of the sky, breathe the breath of life that rain may fall. Drench our fields, our houses, fill the land with tumult of rain.
Exacerbating the disruption of the spiritual life of the Pueblos was the tremendous pressure on their economy and on their delicate relationship with the desert. While the Pueblo people were forced to farm and produce goods as tribute to the colony, their own fields and families suffered. Their stores of corn, which had saved them from starvation time out of mind, were depleted. The friars attempted to ameliorate the oppression of the Indians, complaining that ranchers grazed their herds on some of the best Pueblo croplands, and protesting the exploitation of the Indians by Spanish governors and encomenderos. However, the rigid demands of the church itself took their own toll. The missions benefited from large-scale farming and ranching operations based on the labor of the Pueblo people. Then the earth itself seemed to rebel with a series of calamities. Drought struck the province, accompanied by crop failure, devastating epidemics, and famine. One year, 450 Indians died of hunger at the pueblo of Las Humanas alone. The world of the people of the Salinas Pueblos was on the verge of collapse, while the friars and the civil authorities engaged in a vicious struggle for supremacy. A trusted Tompiro leader from Abo plotted rebellion, but was discovered and executed. The Eastern Plains Apache, formerly trading partners, now the targets of Spanish slave raids, began attacking the missions and pueblos in retaliation. It was too much. The few surviving people of the Salinas Pueblos and missions had no choice but to abandon hope and abandon their homes. It is easy to forget, in the dust and haze of time and distance, that the people who once lived here led lives as intense, as immediate, as beautiful as our own.
Alorai, alorai, alorai. Vinieron los españoles con soldados y los frailes a conquistar los pueblos de las Salinas en el nombre de Jesucristo. Construyeron las misiones de Abocuaraquí, las humanas, templos grandes y muy poderosos, a loar el Dios cristiano. Fray Alonso de Benavides, Fray Francisco de Acevedo, Fray Jerónimo de la Llana, predicaron a los indios que el Dios de los cristianos les dio a los indios, igual a los españoles, el aliento de la vida. Pero pelearon los españoles, los frailes y los gobernadores, mientras sufrieron los indios de los pueblos de las Salinas. Aún trajeron la luz cristiana, las misiones se fallaron. A pesar de hambre y sequía, todos se fueron de las Salinas. Alorai, alorai, alorai.
The refugees scattered, some to Galisteo and then to the Hopi Mesas. Most drifted west to Isleta, and then south to the El Paso area with the Spaniards, who were fleeing the Great Pueblo Revolt of 1680. The Salinas Pueblos were never reoccupied, but the Estancia Valley was. In the 1800s, a few determined Hispanic settlers filtered through up Old Pass and began farming again. Their descendants, their religion, their names are still here to be found. Pueblo people say the story of the Salinas Pueblos and missions is like a cloud, forming, growing, dissipating, and originating once again. The life of one person, or of a community, or of an entire people is but one point in an unending cycle. The Pueblos of the Estancia Valley might have failed without the pressures brought by the Spaniards. We will never know.
What then can we say about the pueblos of the Salinas? What can we say about the stars or the desert or the clouds? A glittering star burns out, another is born. The sunlit desert stretches away under the endless sky. The drifting clouds sanctify the earth on the jagged peaks. We are told as children that when people walk on the land, they leave their breath in that place, and the earth never forgets them. Whoever walks through this place partakes of their breath and their spirit and the essence of the people of the Salinas Pueblos enters them. Thus, the very act of taking a breath is a blessing.